The late afternoon sun slanted through the narrow windows of Mira's basement, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the walls. The room was a cluttered sanctuary, filled with relics of their childhood, board games with missing pieces, action figures frozen mid-battle, and stacks of comic books whose pages had yellowed with age. The air was thick with the scent of dust and old paper, lending the space an aura of forgotten stories waiting to be rediscovered. Eli perched on the edge of the battered sofa, his hands clasped tightly, as if to anchor himself. He watched as Mira paced in front of the shelves, her fingers trailing over the spines of books she knew by heart. Jonah lounged in a beanbag chair, his usual exuberance tempered by a pensive silence, while Lila sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes bright with the thrill of possibility. Are we really going to pretend that what happened out there was just nothing? Lila's voice broke the silence, her tone a mix of incredulity and excitement. Mira stopped pacing and turned to face them, her expression a study in skepticism. I'm not saying it was nothing, Lila, but we have to consider rational explanations first. There must be some logical reason behind what we saw. Eli shifted uncomfortably. The memories of the Appalachian wilderness, the journal they found, the strange symbols etched into its pages, had been haunting him since their return. It was as if the forest had reached out and wrapped its tendrils around his mind, refusing to let go. Logical or not, Jonah interjected, it felt real, too real to just dismiss. Mira sighed, frustration evident in her posture. I know it felt real, but feelings can be deceiving. We need evidence, something concrete. Lila rolled her eyes. Not everything can be explained away by science and logic, Mira. Sometimes things are just beyond that. Eli listened to the exchange, his own thoughts a tangled web of doubt and fear. He wanted to believe in something more, something that could explain the unexplainable. But Mira's words resonated with him too. They needed answers, but where would they find them? The conversation ebbed and flowed like a tide, each friend clinging to their own beliefs while trying to bridge the gaps between them. As the hours slipped by, the basement grew darker, shadows creeping into every corner. Then Mira paused, her gaze fixed on a book that hadn't been there before. It was leather-bound, its cover worn yet strangely inviting. Eli felt a shiver run down his spine as he looked at it, a sensation akin to being watched. Where did that come from? Jonah asked, echoing Eli's unease. Mira hesitated before picking it up. I don't know, she admitted. I've never seen it before. Lila leaned closer, her curiosity piqued. It looks ancient, like something out of one of those fantasy movies. Eli frowned, leaning forward to get a better look. The book seemed to pulse with an energy he couldn't quite place, a silent beckoning that tugged at something deep within him. We should open it, Lila suggested eagerly. Mira shot her a look. And risk unleashing who knows what. We have no idea what this is or where it came from. Eli cleared his throat, drawing their attention. Maybe it's connected to the journal, he ventured quietly. We found that in the woods, too. Jonah nodded slowly. It's worth checking out. We might find some clues. Reluctantly, Mira agreed. She opened the book carefully, revealing pages filled with cryptic symbols and riddles that seemed to dance across the paper in the flickering light. As they pored over the book's contents, Eli felt a growing sense of foreboding. Each symbol felt like a key to a door he wasn't sure he wanted to open, a door that led deeper into the mysteries they had only begun to uncover. Their discussion stretched into the night, punctuated by moments of revelation and confusion. The tension in the room was palpable, as if the very air was charged with an unseen energy. It was then that Lila spoke up again, her voice barely more than a whisper. What if this book is our way in, our way to understand what happened out there? Mira looked at her sharply. You mean there's more to this? More than just us trying to make sense of things? Lila nodded slowly. What if there's a group or something that knows about all this? Something like the Keepers of the Veil? The name hung in the air like a specter, sending chills down Eli's spine. He exchanged glances with Jonah and Mira, each of them processing Lila's suggestion in their own way. Even if such a group exists, Mira began cautiously, how do we find them? Eli hesitated before speaking. Maybe this book is our guide, he suggested quietly. Maybe it's leading us to them. Jonah grinned despite himself. Guess we're going on another adventure then. Mira shook her head but smiled faintly. I suppose we are. As they gathered their things and prepared to leave Mira's basement, Eli felt a strange mix of anticipation and dread. The journey ahead promised answers, but also new dangers, dangers that could test their friendships and their sanity. Outside, the suburban neighborhood lay shrouded in darkness, its neat rows of houses hiding secrets beneath their tranquil facade. Beyond them loomed the Appalachian wilderness, a silent sentinel guarding its ancient mysteries. As Eli stepped into the cool night air, he glanced back at his friends, feeling a renewed sense of purpose despite his fears. Together they would uncover the truth behind the journal and the mysterious book within a book. And perhaps, along the way, they would discover something even more profound about themselves and about the world they thought they knew so well. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Their journey had only just begun. The basement was a sanctuary, a refuge from the world above, where the weight of expectation and mundane reality pressed down like a suffocating blanket. Here, surrounded by the relics of their childhood, action figures perched precariously on dusty shelves, posters of far-off places fading into memory, Eli, Mira, Jonah, and Lila gathered once more. The room was dimly lit, the single lamp casting shadows that seemed to dance to the rhythm of their whispered fears. Mira paced in front of the battered sofa, her fingers absently tracing the edge of an old map pinned to the wall. I just don't get it, she said, her voice tinged with frustration. We must have missed something in that journal. There has to be a logical explanation. Lila, curled up on the sofa with her knees tucked under her chin, shook her head. Logical? After what we saw out there? I don't know, Mira. Maybe some things aren't meant to be explained. Eli sat cross-legged on the floor, his back against the wall. He listened quietly, his eyes flicking between his friends as if gauging the weight of their words. The unease he felt since their return from the wilderness had settled deep within him, coiling tighter with each passing day. Jonah leaned forward from his perch on an old footstool, his hands gesturing animatedly. What if it's both? Like, maybe there's some science behind it, but it's mixed up with all this supernatural stuff? That's convenient, Mira replied dryly. Just mix them together and call it a day. Lila's gaze drifted to a stack of books teetering on a nearby table. What about that one? She asked, pointing to a leather-bound tome that seemed to pulse with an unearthly energy. Mira followed her gaze and frowned. I don't remember seeing that before. She reached for it, her fingers brushing over the worn cover that felt oddly warm to the touch. It's strange, she admitted. Eli leaned closer, his curiosity piqued despite himself. Where did it come from? I don't know, Mira said slowly. It just appeared among my books. Jonah's eyes widened. You think it's connected to the journal? It has to be, Lila insisted. Look at it. It practically screams mystery. Mira opened the book carefully, revealing pages filled with cryptic symbols and riddles that danced across the paper like living things. The room fell silent as they stared at the enigmatic script, each of them feeling an inexplicable pull towards its secrets. This is insane, Mira muttered, though her eyes betrayed a spark of intrigue. Eli finally spoke, his voice steady yet laced with apprehension. Maybe this is our next step. If it's connected to what we found in the woods, then we need to figure it out. Lila nodded eagerly. Exactly, this could be our chance to understand everything. But how? Jonah asked. We can't read this stuff. Mira closed the book gently, as if fearing it might vanish if handled too roughly. We need help, she said reluctantly. From who? Eli questioned. The keepers of the veil, Lila whispered, almost reverently. Jonah frowned. Those are just stories. Are they? Lila countered. After everything we've seen? Mira sighed, rubbing her temples as if trying to massage away the tension building there. Even if they are real, how do we find them? The question hung in the air like a challenge, daring any of them to offer an answer. As if in response, a soft knock echoed from above, a sound so out of place in their secluded haven that it sent a shiver down Eli's spine. I'll get it, Mira said reluctantly, heading upstairs while the others exchanged wary glances. A moment later, she returned with a woman whose presence seemed to fill the room with an unspoken authority. Her eyes were sharp, taking in every detail with an intensity that made Eli's skin prickle. This is Tessa Caldwell, Mira introduced hesitantly. She says she can help us. Tessa nodded, her expression inscrutable yet somehow inviting trust. "I've been waiting for you to find me," she said simply. Eli felt a chill at her words, an unsettling mixture of relief and suspicion that settled deep within him. "You know about the keepers?" he asked cautiously. Tessa smiled enigmatically. "I know many things." Her presence was both a comfort and a threat, a guide through the unknown, or perhaps a harbinger of deeper secrets yet to be uncovered. "What do you want from us?" Jonah asked bluntly. Tessa's smile faded slightly as she considered her response. "To help you understand what you've stumbled upon," she said finally, "and maybe to find redemption for myself." Mira crossed her arms defensively. "Why should we trust you?" "Because," Tessa replied evenly, "you're not the only ones who have been touched by these mysteries." The tension in the room was palpable as Tessa's words hung between them like a promise or a warning. Eli glanced at his friends, searching their faces for signs of doubt or agreement. They were in this together, bound by fear and curiosity and something deeper that defied explanation. "We'll hear you out," Eli said finally, his voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty that lingered beneath it. Tessa nodded approvingly. "Then let's begin." With those words, they embarked on a journey into the heart of mystery, a journey fraught with danger and discovery and truths that would challenge everything they believed. As they delved deeper into the secrets contained within the tome and beyond its pages, they would confront not only ancient forces, but also their own fears and insecurities, a trial by fire that would test their bonds and reshape their understanding of what lay beneath the surface of their seemingly ordinary lives. And so began their descent into the unknown, a path marked by shadows and whispers and the ever-present threat of what lurked just beyond perception, a path that would lead them inexorably towards the keepers of the veil and whatever truths they guarded jealously within their hidden enclave. In this twilight world where reality blurred with imagination and logic danced uneasily with superstition, their story unfolded one tense conversation at a time, a tapestry woven from threads both seen and unseen, each word carrying them closer to revelation or ruin, or perhaps both entwined irrevocably together in an intricate dance as old as time itself, a dance whose final steps remained shrouded in mystery until they dared take them for themselves, guided by courage or folly or some combination thereof, as they ventured forth into realms unknown, armed only with questions unanswered yet burning brightly within hearts aflame with curiosity and resolve and hope for what might yet be discovered beyond these suburban streets and into those wild woods where shadows whispered secrets long forgotten, awaiting those brave enough or foolish enough to listen closely and heed their call into darkness and light and all that lay betwixt and beyond forevermore.